Hello, this is Robin from Reality Abuser,
And this is Swan from Reality Abuser.
and today we're interviewing.
Me, I'm going to abuse reality.
You don't have to use my
Could you go ahead and state your name?
Oh, shit. What name should I do? Imogen Steele? I don't know what
You
name to
can
use.
go by an alias as well if you'd like
Okay, Imogen Steele.
to. We're here with Imogen Steele, and we're just going to talk about a couple topics today. Swan, you want to go ahead and give it a go? First question.
Sure, I see you're having a shell here.
Yes, I do have a shell.
Okay, so what is the meaning of this shell today?
The shell for me is a sign of strength, determination, and commitment to a goal.
Okay, where'd you find that at? Did you pick it up on the beach?
I actually bought it in Hawaii, but I think it might come from the Philippines. Because that's where most of the cheap shells come from. To be honest with you.
But it works fine, right?
It works well.
Where have you played it at? Where?
I've
Little
played
wet,
it.
that was a
Listen,
little wet.
I've played it. I take it with me pretty much everywhere. I've played it in 3 or 4 countries. Yeah, I play on the water, on the land, in the sky. Doesn't really matter. I actually had a blow off against a goat horn at a party recently, where we just saw who could blow the longest and hardest.
And what does a goat horn look like?
Well, this one was it's quite long, it's quite impressive looking, and it had silver and gold. I mean, it was a horn, not a shell, but the shell held up.
So you say you play other instruments, though, right? This is just one
Yes,
of them, correct?
this is one.
You're also a DJ, right?
Yes, I'm a DJ too.
Okay, is that part of the reason why you came out here? We're in Reno, Nevada, by the way, and there's a huge Burning Man scene, which we'll get to later. But for now, I want to know much more about why you were attracted to this area. Was it because the music scene or something related to music? What was it?
No, I actually got sort of trapped in COVID, but yeah, I guess so. I was DJing for a couple of years on the road, and then I was on my way back from Panama, from Tribal Gathering in 2020, and I left Panama on March 15th. It took me about 3 days to get here, and then New Zealand and Hawaii ended up shutting down, and I've just sort of got stuck here for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I feel you.
I'm trying to I'm just about to take off again, but yeah, it's been a good chance to focus on my art and my music, because there is a pumping DJ scene here. There's a huge underground music scene. So it actually turned out being quite cool, and ended up DJing at the Playa, at Burning Man last year, at the Non-Burn, and out in the Mojave, everywhere, and up in Tahoe all around, and different places around Reno.
That's really cool. Yeah, I feel COVID really, for everyone in a way, stopped the motion of the earth, and something happened, some trajectory changed for us. I kind of want to take it back even a little further, and so you're from New Zealand.
Yes.
Where from New Zealand?
I'm from Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, born and raised, and then Waiheke Island, which is just off the coast of Auckland. That's where I built my career.
Try to say that one.
Tamaki Makaurau, land of 1,000 lovers.
Oh, why is it land of 1,000 lovers?
Well, I mean, look at it.
I can see why.
I mean, if you're from Auckland, you're hot. I mean, sorry, but everybody knows Auckland's the hottest.
So
Shouts out.
So how are you received here? I understand you had a journey here, but how are Americans perceiving you? Were they assuming you're British or something like that?
Well, I was just hiding out up in Tahoe for the first year, pretty much, just waiting and not associating with locals really at all.
Yeah.
And just kind of enjoying the Tahoe COVID bubble, where so many people were coming from the Bay, San Francisco, out to Tahoe to kind of escape all the restrictions.
Yeah.
Because at that time you don't have to wear masks if you were by water. So Tahoe was a really big haven for people to come and be able to be mask free. And then the casinos, they were still open. So I guess that's why I ended up staying put. I went to a few different places and then stayed put in Tahoe, Reno, because of the casinos, and you could still have a bit of a life in the casino and be around people.
It's funny that you say that, because I came to Nevada for the same exact reason, because as COVID moved along and I was in California, one of the most restricted states, I just couldn't deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
And so leaving California, I looked at what was the closest state that actually was opening up, and it was Nevada.
Yeah, Nevada was pretty good, but I mean, if you're an entertainer or a musician, it was still shit. Yeah. But like as soon as because up in Tahoe we've got a lot of private parties with the DJs as well, and Renegades, like unofficial illegal parties. So we were going straight away. So as soon as like the restrictions started leaving, and the California side of Tahoe started like pumping with the music scene straight away. So after about a year or so, I realized that I would have to somewhat blend into the community, and I couldn't just stay separate from them, and that's where all the troubles began, really.
But wait, before we get into the trouble,
no,
I would
lovely people.
just a little bit. I would like to know. Okay, so the music scene you were in, you kind of like integrated with that. But prior to this, were you like an underground person? What kind of person were you before?
Yeah, well, I mean, like honestly, I hadn't been outside my tribal Polynesian grouping for 15 years. So we have our own full-on music scene in Māori music and Indigenous New Zealand music, and not even Indigenous music like reggae, drum and bass, hip-hop, but that's all natives making that. So yeah, like in Polynesia, you don't need to leave your tribal group to do whatever you want, really, because like we're so dominant. So I guess for me, it's been a real journey being a lone native in the music scene. I mean, that's what stopped me from interacting for so long, to be honest.
So is this like a village somewhere, or like what is this?
Well, Polynesia is a group. I mean, like you've got Hawaii down to New Zealand and out to Rapa Nui, Israel, and everything inside there's Polynesia. So the Samoans, the Hawaiians, the Tongans, the Niueans, the Cook Islanders, the Māoris, we all identify with each other in a tribal sense. So we have certain protocols and values, cultural values that we all live by. That's got nothing to do with the law. So it's kind of, I found it quite difficult because there's no shared cultural value here. So there's no real standard for behavior. And so I was kind of like coming in on my standards of how tribal people are with each other, and that's not how it is here. So it's kind of been quite, as a native, it's quite hard to interact with the mainstream culture.
I've heard from other foreigners and everything to kind of describe Americans like this, or the culture here a little bit, that almost like a peach. So it's soft on the outside, but then very hard on the inside, where there's going to be this outside motive, or just the person's gonna be very genuine seeming on the outside, but then once you get to know them, not necessarily, like there's a little fakeness. So do you feel that from
that's an interesting way to look at it. That would describe, it's a really opposite approach. Like in Polynesia, it's you're hard on the outside.
Right, but then once if you get to know them, it's family.
Yeah, that's right. When you break through, you get to, well, I mean, it's always quite hard. But yeah, here, I mean, when I first turned up, I was like, wow, that's lying where I come from. That's total bullshit. You know what I mean? Like when I got to South Lake, I was like, wow, 75% of this town would be fleeted out in 10 days if this was New Zealand.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can't just talk shit.
You can't pull those kind of cards.
No, but in America, I mean, it's so big. You can just move in. You've got all these grifters going from state to state. No, it's hard to track people down. And then also the culture is, especially around men, over-exaggerate.
Yes.
Over-exaggerate yourself, blow yourself up. Whereas where I come from, like, nobody's doing that because it's so small. There's no point.
So like lifted trucks and stuff.
That's the blend in.
Listen, you can't even, you're hardly even going to see a lifted truck in New Zealand. Like, they don't even have Tacomas.
What do they ride? Kangaroos or something?
The Hilux. Surf Hilux.
What's a Hilux?
Yeah, you guys don't have them here. It's a type of Toyota that we have instead of the Ranger or the Tacoma.
Okay.
Yeah, the Hilux, the Surf Hilux.
Is it powered by like some kind of sacred energy?
Well, listen, they do. I know. I've got friends that run theirs on chip fries. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess it has sort of quite sacred because it's like a body-machine connection.
So, can you drive New Zealand in a day?
No, you can't. You could probably, you wouldn't even really be able to drive one full island in a day. It's two main islands. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, people, it looks small on the map compared
Right.
to the rest of the world, but like when you get down there, people are really shocked. Like, absolutely shocked. Like, I come from a city of 2 million people.
Oh.
Like,
okay.
it puts
There we go. I'm
Reno
already
to
shocked
shame.
right
It
now.
puts
Yeah.
Reno
Okay.
to shame. And our music scene's out of control. So it's kind of, you don't really, you can forget about the rest of the world down there.
Okay, going back to music, can I actually get maybe your best experience here so far with a musical event? If not the best, maybe the worst, or if not the
Okay,
worst, maybe at least the most interesting.
Well, I mean, you know,
I want a story.
playing American Legion in Tahoe, that was a really big, and then going on to be the first female bartender in 16 years up there. That was a big, thank you. That was a big thing for me because, especially coming from New Zealand, I mean, Jimi Hendrix played there.
Yeah.
The Doors played there. The Grateful Dead played there. Even Janis Joplin played there. They're all like, I'm not a Deadhead so much, but the other three, like, are huge musical influences on me. So, like, from a New Zealand perspective, people will be like, shit, bitch, die happy. You know, like, you've done it. And then, I mean, playing Burning Man last year. I didn't actually know where I was at the time. I figured it out later, and I was quite chuffed. And there was a particular moment where I was, you know, dancing on top of the red rooster, looking down, and everybody's like waving up at me, and I just sort of thought, wow, I wish everybody could actually have this experience in their life.
Yeah.
Wait. So I got to back that up just a little bit because you
cool.
said you didn't even know where you were, but you were at Burning Man playing.
No, well, we'd been evacuated from South Lake due to the fires.
Right.
So the whole town got, like 20,000 people got evacuated, and we all ended up, a bunch of us ended up in Reno. I went out to a bar, and I saw that, I'm with Emerald Bays, I saw that they had a gig at this thing called Spooky Kitty. I had no idea what it was, and I needed somewhere to go because we were evacuated, so they're like, yeah, we'll put you on the lineup. So I just went to the location, and it was the Playa. I was like, wow, this is pretty out of it.
Yeah.
But I didn't sort of click because it was the non-official burn. There wasn't
That's right, I
like
heard
Burning
about
Man written on it. There was still 25,000 people turned up to a Renegade.
And that was last
That
year was
last
free,
year.
right?
Yeah, that's because it was.
Yeah, it was a
yeah, that was the unofficial non-burn.
Burning. See, that
Yeah.
would have been the one to go to if.
Well, there was a lot of
Just to go
people
for free.
that I met that it was their first time, and I think because it was free, but
Ah.
also because of the fires.
Right.
There was like a lot of us from Tahoe that went there because it was just like a free camp while you couldn't be at home. But it definitely introduced me to the scene, and then when I came back from there, I got heavy into the underground in Reno.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people that you met out there, were they
Oh
stationed
yeah,
here?
I was camping with them all. Like, yeah.
Is that how you pretty much met the people we know mutually?
Well, I know them from Tahoe as well, from American Legion.
Okay.
So the place where I was bartending up there, that's like a burner scene as well. Tahoe's got its own little niche type of music. So
Interesting.
that's
a little more posh.
well, no, it's very, very specific, and it's like its own little genre there. So Tahoe's quite well known for their.
Kind of how Tahoe does it. Their
Well,
own little
it's
thing
they're
always.
mountain people. I mean, it's very insulated. A lot of it, like I turned into one that never went off the mountain and
Yeah.
this sort of thing. So it's a good breeding ground for like creating a real solid sound scene. And like we have 3-4 parties a week up there, just private ones.
I can see that, definitely.
Yeah, and it's all the same DJs like developing this type of music. So it's quite. I've never really heard proper full-on bass before I got up there, and then the wook bass.
What would you say is so then overall, what would you say the demographic is? Because I kind of, what you're talking about, it seems so foreign to me because every time I go to Tahoe, it's
no, you can't see it
posh
from the
tech
outside.
white people
Yeah,
that are
it's-
just, with their children doing a bike ride.
Yeah, hell no. There's a total other side there.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
there is. It's like when I first turned up in Reno after Panama, like everybody was telling me, "Oh, you've come to the right place. Your people are here. Your people are here." And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like I don't even know anybody here. And they're like, "No, your people, the burners. You're in the right place." And I said, "Well, yeah, I like to smoke weed." And they're like, no, Burning Man burners. And I was like, okay, I'd heard of Burning Man, but I didn't know there was about the whole culture. Like Reno, I mean, the first Burning Man in the world was here at Black Rock.
Right,
And so now they're in every country pretty much. So Reno is like the closest town to Black Rock, really. And so you've got multiple venues here and up in Tahoe that is all just like where all the burners gravitate to. And have shows. So it's like in terms of fashion, Burning Man fashion, Burning Man culture, Burning Man music, Burning Man DJs. Here's a great place to learn about it. But it's not easy to find. Like that, I got told that I didn't meet any burners for like a year. Like you have to know it's really underground, if you can call Facebook underground, but that's where it is.
Yeah, he kind of turned me on to that whole idea of Facebook groups and everything.
Yeah.
It's weird how Facebook is so minute on the scale of social media, but at the same time, if you can link in these Facebook groups, you can meet up with some heavy people, heavy hitters.
Facebook's like definitely been the one and only platform that I've got traction on in terms of a lot of things. That pretty much every business opportunity I've had has come from Facebook, or from there. It's like a real network. It's kind of like a modern day community like hub. Like if you were all going down to the bar after work, it's sort of like that. That's just where you find out what's happening, and people put their flyers up. Like it's like walking down to the the notice board beside the supermarket and just seeing all the flyers up. Like that's how I look at Facebook.
Shout out Mark Zuck, you still suck.
Well, and I mean it's funny because I often have wondered why have I sort of blown up on Facebook, where I blew up as in the suggested likes. I got you know those little circles of like who you should like. Oh my God! At the peak, I estimated it, and it looked like I was probably popping up in close to 1 million people's a day, little suggested likes, and I only figured it out because I had so many people hitting me up, like accusing me of being a robot. Why do I keep popping up? How's this possible? And then I started looking into it, and I was like, whoa. This is like a crazy big network there of people seeing my little circle.
That is insane. Maybe we should, mess with Facebook.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, and Insta's the same. I like swapping social media with people just to fuck with the algorithms.
Right.
And I like it when I make someone, enter in and they don't pop up.
Yeah.
And then I'll really persevere and try and find them. How come I pop up but you don't?
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah.
I don't know how they work.
It's because I know so many people that aren't related. Because I do so much travel, and I know I'm friends with so many different types of people.
Yeah. That even, I get what you're saying, even like almost like the people who are so nucleus to you.
Yes.
They're showing up less on the feed and like not as much as these people that you're meeting.
Well,
like,
I don't know
travels.
where I show up, but it's in that suggested likes.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It's bizarro. It's a bizarro place to blow up.
I mean, would you
in
ever
the suggested likes column?
Do you get the people?
It's so weird, though. It is so weird.
It is weird.
And then I was thinking, why? Why Facebook? Why? And then I realized it's because Facebook's so straight. It's very, very vanilla. And I think I'm just that, I'm just enough of a cross, to a more extreme edge that is very appealing.
You put a little kink in the algorithm.
Yes, it's very attractive to those types of people. Like I look safe but edgy.
Yes.
And it is a lot safer than Instagram.
Oh yeah.
So I think like people are more trusting on Facebook probably than they are on Insta.
Yeah, you get so many. I'm sure you get a lot of slides in the DMs.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and also I feel, I'm not gonna lie, on Facebook, there's less people trying to scam me.
Yeah, there
on
is
Instagram.
less scamming. Yeah, there is less
Not
scamming.
me. My messages are like from like fake porn stars trying to trying to hey, do you want to hook up? I'm like,
what? Well,
and then the next thing is just a Cash App symbol.
It is fascinating. I mean, I was in the first. I got selected to be one of the first people to go on Facebook dating.
Oh wow!
Yes, by Facebook.
They have a dating.
They do. They've got Facebook dating, but you have to be invited. You have to be invited.
wow.
Invite all day.
Loser.
So So
Simp Club.
yeah, well, I got this message from Facebook one day saying you've been selected to be part of this test group for Facebook dating.
Wow, is that really how they do it?
And they put people on a wait list.
That's crazy. When the next time they just hit you and me up, they're like, "Hey, you want to be part of the Simp Club?"
I know. We hear the word's out that we have this club, so we have a club just for you.
Yeah.
God, dude.
I'm still on there, but I mean, yeah, I've done a lot of social experiments through that Facebook dating.
I'm sure.
And I've also met some really fucking cool as hell people that multi-Grammy award winners on Facebook dating.
Okay, yeah.
Totally legit.
Yeah,
Fully
I believe
legit.
I believe it.
There's a lot of really interesting people on there.
I believe it. I mean, I've known people who go on those sites just to make friends.
Oh yeah, and I mean
realistically.
that's where look, I got picked up by PBMTV off Facebook. I've been picked up for DJing off Facebook. I got picked up by my music producer from Facebook dating.
Wow.
Yeah, all that, and I just thought I was meeting them for a date or to get to know them, but they were actually checking out to see if I was real according to my profile.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is, I did not anticipate that happening like that for me, but, always put your best panties on, eh?
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
You're going to be hit
Look
by that
what's
bus.
behind the bush and everything.
You don't know who's watching, so I've just taken, even when COVID happened, and I wasn't able to do what I wanted, I've just sort of maintained my sort of status the whole time, knowing that I'm in this huge country where there's a lot of money and a lot of success, and just hoping and knowing that eventually someone's going to be she'd be perfect for this, and it did happen.
Yeah. No, I totally can see
Yeah,
that.
it's interesting.
Do you consider your life kind of spontaneous, or what are a few words you could describe your life? Because I know, I feel like, yeah, you have a lot going on, and this is definitely nowhere near enough time to even cover everything. I just want to know a little bit, what do you think of yourself, of your trajectory so far? Is it
Well, for example, with the social media, I always hated it.
Yeah.
I had to do it for a job that I had, and it's turned up to be, I was one of those people that was really anti.
Yeah.
So I guess my life has been full of almost polar opposites,
Right.
and just me working through my own prejudices against technology or genres or types, and just using what I have in front of me in the world as a tool.
Yeah, I think I noticed it about you. You're not super polarized. I feel for example, maybe some burners, no offense to the burners, maybe a lot of them are super chill, but I feel in the end, some of them do fall into the category of maybe PC or something.
It does get quite
yeah.
it can get quite dogmatic.
Yeah,
Beliefs can become really
Beliefs,
beliefs can be really dogmatic, where you don't want to, and I do notice that in the music. Yeah, that would be a criticism. It's very gentrified. It's got to be this type of music, or it's got to be this, or it's got to be that. Whereas I come from the world music scene, so you don't see anyone with a mic, you don't see anybody with an instrument hardly, and it's all got to be this type of genre. So I find that, for me, it's limiting, but that's going back to the lack of tribal people in the music scene here.
Speaking more on that, what about the tantras? Can you just give us a brief opinion on the tantras?
Well, I think that's why I'm not so polarized, is because I've been through that stage with Tantra.
Well, let's explain what it is real quick.
Tantra is a spiritual science that comes from the region of India, before India was India. Going back, the first tantric guru was Shiva 7,000 years ago. Tantra's been around for about 10,000 years. It's the oldest form of yoga, basically. But it's not a religion. It's a spiritual science where if you do this breathing with this meditation, then you will experience a decrease in blood pressure and more calmness. It's kind of like a 1 + 1 = 2.
Have you reached any spiritual plateaus or any levels of unifying with the universe or something?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely levels to it.
Have you what's your most powerful I don't know, awakening or peak or whatever experience?
Okay.
I want to pinpoint a special time. Maybe I don't know. I can't describe it. I've never tried it.
Well,
But
I could go back to when I got initiated into Tantra
by a gang.
in 1996, and so I'm kind of a pretty long time tantric, and I took initiation after. I was struggling for connection. I wanted to be in touch with like the universe or feel like I was part of a cosmic flow in some form. I wanted to believe in something. I wanted to believe in a higher power.
Is it because you took drugs or you just had like kind of an
did,
epiphany?
Yeah, I was always a bit like that. And then I'd come to America in 93, 94 to Denver on a student exchange.
Yeah.
And I took acid and got into the idea of like love is, like God is love.
Yeah.
Like consciousness is God.
Yeah.
Consciousness is love. And then, so I was searching and I got invited to a yoga night in Auckland, New Zealand, and I really liked it. I liked the people, so I kept going. And then I realized it was something you could actually go really deep into if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So I started delving in, and I got given a challenge by a monk, like, well, listen, if you really want to see if it works, why don't you do the diet and the lifestyle for 2 weeks? No meat, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes, and vegetarian, meditation twice a day, yoga postures twice a day for 2 weeks. Okay, I was 18. Right. So I was like, easy. Like now it would be tough. But like at that time it was like, I was young. It was like, that's nothing. I can do anything. So I did it. And like, listen, that lasted, I stayed like that for 21 years. That
Crazy.
2 weeks turned into 21 years.
Wow.
Of total sobriety
So
and meditation.
So,
during that 21 years, there were some very fundamentalist stages that I had to go through and be very judgmental. I wouldn't outwardly do it, but I was really being judgmental of myself. I mean, I remember when I couldn't imagine walking into someone's house that had meat in the fridge.
Right.
I mean, that would be that was
Gross.
beyond my mind. I wouldn't even know.
Sacrilegious.
I wouldn't even talk to a person that ate meat.
Interesting. So it's almost
For some years.
So were you saying that
I've been there.
you were so young that the indoctrination of
Yeah, well, I wanted to be indoctrinated.
You wanted to be indoctrinated.
I wanted to be indoctrinated because I'm an orphan, so I don't have any family. So, like, if you don't have family, you still need connection.
Yes.
So where do you find it? Well, obviously God.
Yeah.
There's not really much left, nature or God. Mm-hmm. Nature's very limited.
Mm-hmm.
It's
it doesn't really care about you too that way.
No, it doesn't at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't have feelings for you.
Nature doesn't have it.
Yeah. So I was I was doing my Māori stuff as well, but yeah, without the DNA connections, it's kind of hard. So I ended up making sort of like a deal with this imaginary God, like when you're down at me, please God, if you do this, I'll never smoke a cigarette again. That was that sort of thing. But I was like, listen, if you can give me experience more intense than any kind of drug trip I've ever been on, this is as an 18-year-old, that's it. Yeah. I'll just believe. And like it motherfucking happened.
So what would you say, for example, breathing
here I am, still carrying on.
Is there any breathing exercise that you could share with us?
Yes, okay. So a good, the key with breathing is filling up your whole lungs and emptying them. If you really want to get like the full relaxation of a breath, it's when you hold it out, that's where the main power is. A lot of people don't understand that. That's when you're really close to God, right there, when there's no breath at all. So, like, big time experienced meditators can drop their heart rates right down to like several beats a minute.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, and that's all about like being comfortable in that exhale. Mm-hmm. So, like, I would just tell people the key with the breathing is in and out through the nose. Mm-hmm. That's the only way to control your mind. As soon as you start breathing out or in through your mouth, that goes into your mammal brain. That's like dog breathing. So, like if you're breathing in it, yes, that's right. And that's when you can't control your mind too much. So if you're breathing through your nose, basically, you're unable to yell, scream, get super angry. It gives you a chance to actually just keep your mouth shut and just breathe through a situation without doing or saying anything. You can't run really fast. It shuts down your whole fight or flight.
Yeah.
So, and just gives you a chance to be human rather than an animal.
The cortisone levels aren't just spiking all over the place
Well,
anymore.
it will, but you convert that. So, in Tantra, like both the nostrils have different jobs and they've got different names. And so you can develop these sort of like relationships with yourself through your breath.
Right.
So like one's more active, one's more internal.
Where does one go to learn actual Tantra that's not in a cult form?
Well, you can't.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're screwed.
You can't. But there's nothing wrong with it.
Maybe she got you.
If I can explain that.
Write to her for your not free lessons. Write to her for your Tantra lessons.
Well, yeah, I mean, like,
you should start a cult.
Tantra is a cult, and cult, I mean by that it has occult knowledge, and occult just means it's secret knowledge.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's not out. You have to meet someone because you can easily misinterpret the information. So in Tantra, they say you can't go and find the guru. You know, you can't go and find it. It finds you when your time is ready.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, that's the cool thing about Tantra is it comes to you, not the other way around.
Now, I was going to just
Chosen
I
ones.
just want to capitalize.
So you guys are both in for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to have met the chosen one.
Yes,
Yeah, the
yes.
chosen one.
Well, actually, you are the chosen one.
Oh yeah.
100 in a minute.
We're
$100 a minute.
We are Tantra. No, just kidding.
Now
So,
we will sit very, very
we
carefully.
will sheet our
And
dish.
we will stretch your ankle out
Yeah.
to keep your back straight. Yeah.
Shiva is watching.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that Shiva was the tantric and Krishna's the tantric. They get confused between yoga and Hinduism. Tantra and yoga was around before Hindu culture. You know, that's just because it's from the same area. You know,
I read a particular book that talked about being able to close one nostril and breathe out of it and the other one too as
yes,
well.
pranayama.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you elaborate a little bit on that? Because, even so
That's an advanced meditation.
Right. So when I tried doing it, like even just the idea of holding on one nose,
I would start.
I felt scared because I was like, I can't breathe.
It is scary. Yeah.
Why can't I do this?
I would recommend starting with just the normal 2 nostril breathing.
Okay.
I
went too far. I went to level 20 already.
Well, yeah. I mean, like in the Tantra cult, there's like 6 lessons to meditation. So you get initiated, then you can learn the 6. So like that type of breathing's on number 4. So, like, you would probably be a few years deep before you got to that point.
Okay,
and
I was 2 weeks.
I mean, and you have to build up to it. You these rounds and everything and you, even if you're an experienced tantric, you can't just like. I started doing that again recently after a bit of a break, and I have to build up how many rounds you can do. With that, I've questioned monks and nuns about it before because in Tantra that's quite a serious practice.
Right.
And I have heard stories about people doing it on drugs and like blowing their brains out with like blood coming out and stuff.
Oh my God.
It actually can be quite dangerous. Like you don't want to be doing something like that under the influence.
I felt already kind of dangerous doing it.
Yeah.
I felt like I was somehow in an odd way just suffocating myself.
Yeah, it is. And like that's why if you practice doing the breathing, like if you do the tantric breathing, you breathe in, filling up your lung, and then filling up right to the belly, and then breathing out, pushing from the belly first, and then out through your nose.
Oh, nose, yeah.
Yeah. So like a way that you would want to do it is you can start by timing your breathing. So when you breathe in, let's say you breathe in for 2 counts, you want to breathe out for 4.
That's right. Okay.
But you could get up to like breathing in for 8 and breathing out for 16.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could breathe in for 8, out for 8, and then hold it out for 8.
Yeah.
And so that's what the postures are like too. So the postures and the meditation go together. That's what a lot of people don't understand about yoga. Mm-hmm. The yoga postures and the meditation are together. That's one. It's one thing. Right. So if you only do postures,
which you see a lot over here,
it's not going to be that good for your brain. Which is why some yoga people, it seems so stuck up and obsessed with their bodies because they don't do meditation. Mm-hmm. That's a side effect of not doing meditation and doing the postures. But they don't actually realize it because it's so subtle.
You know, it's so interesting that you said it's because out here, you see a lot of core power yoga where, everyone's just holding, like a weighted vest on them while doing the pose. And then there is no There's no the pranayama or anything like that. There's no other talk about anything else.
Yeah, it's
you
just
know?
the physical side. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
Western.
Tantra's all 50-50. So it's
Western
like
yoga, huh?
the tantric model is 50% of all your energy goes to yourself and your own self-development, and 50% of all your energy goes into the external world and helping people in work or whatever like that. So it's the same with the practices. You know, you don't want to, it's all about balance. You don't want to be too physical and not spiritual enough. You don't want to be only meditating and not do the positives, because that is a mental look too.
And that's kind of where you come in with the whole idea of your shadow work that you've done so much of, why you're not so dogmatic about things.
Because I've already been there.
Because,
Well,
yeah.
there is a stage if you're going to be like a real tantric and you get initiated, there's a beginning phase of that where you sort of have to be a bit fanatic. But in order to, it's like part of that process, and that is the period of time where your family and your friends will reject you, and they won't like you at all, because
Right.
you're just this fundamentalist freako
Right.
that thinks that, you know, all of a sudden everyone who eats meat's bad,
Yeah.
and all this
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Whereas like a few weeks ago you were sitting down having a roast meal with them and there wasn't a problem.
Wait, you still don't eat meat?
I do eat meat now.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I would be shunned by a lot of tantrics for that.
Nah,
You know, but like for me, I mean, I think I'm in a different realm of being a Vipra. There's lots of different types of tantrics. So I've figured out that's what I am now.
What is Savipra?
Well, the Vipra, when I was a young tantric, I always thought that was so cool. You know, like I was like, oh yeah, I'd like to be a Vipra. And then like last year I was like, oh shit, when I've been trapped up in Tahoe. A Sadvipra's a tantric who does not associate with other tantrics.
Okay.
And
Maverick. Maverick.
yeah, like a maverick pretty much. And they're like deep in the community and the society, to the point where nobody around them would even know that they are a tantric. And they just live their life, and that's what they do. They leading by example, but not in a I'm a leader, watch me way, and this is just how I live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then people around you, like if you have a robe on or you have a special like dress on that puts you in an authority position, you're cutting out a lot of people right there, because I mean, I don't like authority. I'm a full-on anarchist. I'm not even going to listen to someone just because I don't like their robe outfit and that they are in some sort of authority position. Just the uniform will put me off.
Yeah.
That's just going to put us. I might be really interested in like them, but because I've got authority issues, I'm probably less likely to be like them.
What about cops? ACAB?
Cops, yeah. Anybody that thinks they're a boss besides me is a problem.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, no.
Well, the boss,
But I
okay.
do like. I mean, I do. Some cops are good. Like it depends what you need them for. But like, yeah, especially like spiritually wise, I'm more wary, because like they've got less people watching them than cops do.
Yeah.
I mean, cops, they have to report. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And they can be held accountable. Where a lot of these like spiritual gurus don't. Who are they accountable to? Where do they come from? Who's keeping an eye on them?
Right, it's a very good point.
Yeah, so like I would be very wary of any like lone teacher that I came across that wasn't part of an organisation.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the Sadvipras sort of come in, is they're just like in there like everybody else, going through all the same struggles. I don't have the protection of an organisation around me to fall back on. Like other people don't either.
Yeah.
You know,
Like a lot of us, yeah.
yeah. So, but then I do go crawling back to my favourite monks when something really bothers me, or I need them to know what I'm up to about something. Then I do go back. I do have like a couple of top monks that I will be like, listen, what about this, or what do you think about this, and just sort of like try and get a gauge on what they think from an organizational point of view.
You know what's funny? I really just wanted to tap that when you said the lead by example kind of thing, because that speaks so much volumes to me. Because when I did martial arts, we had a creed and everything, and one of the parts of the creed was I lead by example to encourage fellowship and growth.
Yeah.
And really just this idea of you don't have to do anything with a heavy hand. You can just show the example, and that really is more of the divine work right there, is just to be doing like the Sifrith thing where you're just pushing the boulder up every day. Everyone's wondering, why are you doing this? But they don't need to know, like that.
Yeah, that's right.
But if they figure it out, then something will come to them as well.
And it's about vibration too. So through the meditation, you're changing your own vibration and the vibration around you. So, I mean, a lot of people don't know why they've got a problem with me is because I'm a tantric. They just don't like the energy.
Yeah.
They don't like the I'm not messing around energy, and you're not going to fuck with me today energy.
I love it, yeah.
They don't like that I can't trick you energy or I can't manipulate you energy. That is tantric energy.
Okay.
When like somebody walks in the room and they've got quite a full-on vibe and they seem quite confident in themselves, and you just know that they're not going to give a fuck what you say.
Yeah.
You can't change that person. Like, that's quite tantric. They're like sort of like very solid. They're not going to be knocked around. Right. They don't change their mind based on social trends.
Right. Or what's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Real quick, let me. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I'm just going to flip. Right. Yeah. It's kind of like that. It's like having a solid core.
Which is surprisingly scary, because I would say at least if there's 3 people in the room, 2 out of 3. I mean, not right here because we're all rock stars in that way, but 2 out of 3 people are always going to give that sketch vibe of just the flip flop kind of manipulative, or
and if you're in a room full of all people like that, which is quite common at the DJ parties, and you're not like that, then I'm the sketch one. Because I'm not like that.
You're considered. Well, why are you uppity? Why are you holding yourself above?
Exactly.
Kind of feeling.
Why, they just like look like, I get accused of being an undercover or whatever. I'm like, full God, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I've just got my own code. It doesn't mean that I'm a cop just because I have my own fucking code of behavior.
Exactly. Oh, that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Like, people will get the vibe like you're with someone, or like you've got an ulterior motive. Well, I do. It's called my fucking life.
It's called me.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because you can be so self-aware and that self-examination of yourself that people almost think that now you're taking that kind of perception that you just have, this is you, and you're solid like that, but you're trying to somehow project that onto them, and you're like, no, I'm not. But you're actually really just projecting, obviously, the classic of those insecurities back onto you.
With Tantra, it's basically a reflection. You're not a projector, you're a reflector. Yeah, because in the meditation, we project onto ourselves.
Yes.
Everything goes back inside.
Yeah.
Everything goes back onto you. There's that you don't project on anything except for your own mental plate. And that's why when people talk to you or look, they see themselves really clearly, but they think it's me.
Exactly. Somehow you're doing some sort of you're doing almost the witchcraft yourself to get them to like, why are they feeling so triggered, and they're thinking it must be you that's causing them to become triggered.
Yes, but it's not. That's just because I'm not buying their trigger.
Exactly.
Yeah, so then that's just backfiring on them. It's like hitting a bulletproof window and the bullet going back at you again. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not going anywhere.
It's almost like safe to say, I mean, I might be wrong a little bit, but, I don't consider myself too much like this anymore, but it's like the idea of like, you're not going to bullshit a bullshitter. Like, I've been in that position. I've known what it's like to kind of do that thing.
Yeah.
I've worked through it, but you can't work that one on someone who's done that before.
Like, listen, I was a naughty little girl when I was young. I was very naughty. I was the naughtiest girl in school. I was very naughty. I was the naughtiest girl in school. I was well known as the ringleader of the bad eggs.
Okay, yeah.
What'd you do, like smoke in class or what?
Oh, everything.
In the backpack, remember that one?
I don't want to go there, but it was more than that. And for a long time. And I realized that once I'd left the situation, that I needed those as coping strategies. Once I was out of that situation, I didn't need the strategies anymore. They were still there. The lying, the deviousness.
Right.
And I could hear myself lying to people. This is at like 16, 17, 18 years old, and thinking, fuck, I don't even have control over this. I can actually hear this coming out of my mouth, and I'm thinking, what the actual fuck? So that's why I became a nun. That's why I became a tantric nun, because I was like, I need serious retraining.
You feel yourself splitting, and
I
you can see it.
I didn't like feeling like I couldn't control what came out of my mouth. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all, and so that's why I just surrendered myself over to the nuns.
That's
Okay.
You know, and I was like, reprogram me.
Okay, and to close this
Yeah.
up on that note, because we only have like 8 minutes left.
Oh,
I know. Trust me, I would love to go further, but
that was just a wiggly wangly conversation.
yeah, for sure. But okay. The only thing, yeah, because you said, well, why was the reason that you were so chaotic? Would you say if you're
Before I went
because you
into
said
the
you were an orphan, right?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't wanna talk
being
about
being
that.
adopted, being in a really difficult family situation.
Did
And
you go
then-
through like different families or
No, I
something?
didn't. It was just one rotten one.
Oh,
And
that's so
just
lame.
one rotten one for a long time.
That's lame.
Yeah, and then, I mean, as soon as I could talk back and fight back, I got kicked out onto the streets. That's when I got into yoga. Because I was hungry. I was a street kid. And I got invited to the meditation. And I was like, yeah, free food. So I went there. And, you know, they really took care of me. They fed me every day. You know, they could tell by the size of my plate that I was starving, you know. And this monk cornered me and was like, listen, for a little girl, you ate a lot of food. Like, tell me something. Are you hungry? And this is the first time I'd ever been there.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And he's like, are you hungry? And he's got this turban on and all this shit. He was American, actually. And I was like, I can't lie to this monk. You know, so I was like, okay, yes, I am a bit hungry. And he said, listen, come here at 7 in the morning. I'll give you 3 pieces of fruit every day. And if you come here at night, at 6 at night, I'll give you 1 giant plate like that of rice and curry a day. And they did food redistribution, and I saw they had a lot of food. And so I just, the next day, there I was, 7 in the morning, 6 at night. And yeah, that's how I got kind of indoctrinated into it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and so due to your situation, are there a lot of more orphan situations? Because I hear, like, to recap about New Zealand real quick, because I hear so many good things, but I remember I heard somewhere that it's not actually like that.
No, it's not. We've got the highest child poverty rate in the developed world.
Yeah.
And we have in the OECD, and we have for like almost 30 years, our highest teen suicide, one of the highest male suicide rates. The domestic violence, the gang violence, it's off the charts.
But why? Because they try to portray it in a way where I think I saw a statistic years ago that New Zealanders are the happiest people in the world. You know
Yeah,
they
no,
always
well,
put those.
you know, we got voted the second most democratic country in the world, democratic country in the world last year, but it's really not. I mean, that's the British government, the colonizer. I mean, New Zealand's is basically a huge factory farm for the rest of the world. And my hometown's
New Zealand.
Yeah, it's the 3rd most expensive city in the world to live in. Is my hometown of Auckland.
But why do you think it's so like corrupt, or what do you think?
No, we're the last country in the world to be formed. So of course you're going to be the rottenest.
Yeah.
It's like the last to be formed and the first to be devastated.
So Australia was before New Zealand.
Yeah.
I
That's right. And I mean, like, we have a whole different story of migration.
How old is New Zealand then?
It's only 200.
I mean, crazy. I was thinking
the
America's
Māori-
not that much behind that, actually.
No, it's 400. That's twice. It's like a 20-year-old looking up to a 10-year-old and asking it what to do.
True.
I mean, it's crazy.
True.
And you know, I mean, we were Māori people. We were still eating people 150 years ago when you guys were sitting around inside a ranch house having a cup of tea.
Yeah. That's very true.
So you've
You
tried,
know, with like a cup and saucer.
Yeah.
So you've tried human.
Well, I haven't
That's
killed
dope.
one there, but I mean,
No, I think that's
you know,
cool.
like, have you ever had sex with a cannibal?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like, we're quite famous for that.
That's pretty cool.
That is. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a
Well,
cannibal or
we're
anything, but I think
reclaiming
it's
it
pretty funny.
because you know, people need to understand that you can't just take a cannibal and turn it into a nice little fucking factory worker in 200 years.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
No.
And like now, look at all our issues that we have. Look at all our social issues. You can't change the diet, the lifestyle, take your land away, tell you what to eat, tell you how to speak, and expect everything to turn out well in 8 generations.
Are you
It's not
planning
happening.
on going back soon?
Oh my God, it looks like I'm going to be going back for a little recoup at some point.
Sorry, you can
They're
visit.
talking about putting me on a boat with a therapy sheep.
Oh my God.
So yeah, right back to the roots there.
Oh, man.
Even sheep
Are the
being
people
mentioned.
are the people who helped you they're still there though?
Yeah, no, they're all
I mean,
still
at
there.
least you can
No,
go
they're
back and
everywhere. We're everywhere. We've got a million members worldwide. Actually, there's a New Zealand tantric monk in Palo Alto, very close to us, right here.
Oh wow. That's that. You know, So-
seems more gentrified than anything, though. I'm sorry.
Dada Nanda. He's actually quite famous. He's got 8 albums.
2 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting music in the Tantric organization. There's a lot of musicians and artists that are into Tantra because we do all this chanting, like non-stop chanting.
Okay.
No, since our time's limited a little bit here, so we're gonna end off. Once again, this is Reality Abuser. I'm Robin,
Swan.
and we're interviewing
Imogen Steele. I am Steele.
I said Steele.
But I don't know. Do you have any cool messages to leave
give-
anybody?
yeah.
Anybody who's watching?
Yeah, I would say just keep breathing. Just keep breathing. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about anything at all. The best advice I'd have is laugh as much and as long as you can, and try and focus on your breathing about every day, and just keep breathing, and the rest will work itself out.
Can we do one big breath in, breath out, real quick?
Through our nostrils.
Yeah.
And hold it out.